If you're considering moving to the Pueblo, Colorado or surrounding area of Pueblo, Colorado, Colorado Springs, Cañon City, today we're going to talk about what does that look like when you choose to actually start looking for a home. What is the process? So you're a buyer, you might be living out of state specifically. Obviously, the local buyer, this applies to you too, but if you're coming from out of state, that's kind of what we're focusing on and what happens in the background. But if you're local, it applies to you as well because the search process is still the same, the proof of funds is still the same, everything we're talking about today. So you're going to see that here in just a second. But we're just going to walking you through behind the scenes of what actually happens when you look to buy a home. What is the first step? We recently did kind of the step-by-step process of our buyer's roadmap, but I want to talk more specifically to show you just kind of what's going on in the background when you've decided to work with me as your representation and your agent. So I'm going to give you a look here at what that looks like. So if you're thinking about buying a home, and especially if you're coming from out of state, you want to know, like, how does this process work? Exactly what am I supposed to do to get from California to Colorado or Wyoming to Colorado or Utah to Colorado, wherever you're coming from? Let's talk about that today because it's actually more smooth than you think, although there are logistics involved, but that's what I'm here for, is to make this process a lot easier on you. And I'm the organization and kind of the machine behind making it all go smoothly. So stick around, you don't want to miss this one. If this is your first time on the channel and you want to know all there is to know about living in Pueblo, be sure to hit that subscribe button, click the little bell for notifications so you can stay up to date on all the latest market trends. Hi, I'm Krista, a local realtor here in Pueblo. I grew up in Pueblo since I was a little girl. I'm a Colorado native, so you're gonna be in good hands on this channel when it comes to having someone who has the scoop, okay? We're gonna give you the scoop of what is the market doing? What are homes looking like right now that are priced for certain prices? We do vlog tours. We're gonna jump inside the computer occasionally. We're gonna do map tours. We're gonna talk about benefits for veterans in Colorado. We're covering it all here on this channel. So be sure you're following along. And if at any time you guys need some help making a transition to the area, you want to make it a smooth one, grab my contact information from that description box below. Reach out at any time. You can shoot me a text, you can give me a call, and we'll just talk, we'll connect and see what works best for your situation. But in the meantime, between now and then, maybe we'll see you around Pueblo. Okay, so today we're going to do something a little bit different. We are actually going to just kind of show you what we're doing, how it works when somebody comes from out of state to, see houses, what the process is. So somebody had contacted me a few weeks ago. They live in California and they wanted to come view several properties. They weren't sure if they wanted to be in the Fountain, South Colorado Springs area or in Pueblo West. So we did a search. We set up a search here on our MLS system, and they have been getting searches delivered every other day or so in the last week. We did just like a weekly search at first where it was just like, once a week. And now it's set up to do every day because they're getting closer to their arrivals. So they're going to be here this weekend. We're going to spend the whole weekend on Saturday and Sunday looking at homes because when you're coming from out of state, you can't just come in and look at a home or two. You've got to really utilize and maximize your time, right? So what we do is we set you up a search and that kind of starts the process. Then we talk about doing exclusive agency agreements. And that just means, you're committed to working with us as your agent. So I'll have you basically come into agreement with that. And then once we have the searches, we get the final list together. And then you do get a fun little pack when you get here. So we give you some snacks and some water and something to kind of keep all of your MLS sheets together. You get an agenda, and we just really make a great day of whatever it is. If it's a day, if it's 2 days, we just do our best to make you comfortable, make sure that you feel like, you know what's going on. There's a very clear timeline. We try not to waste any time because a lot of times people are coming in and you guys want to see, multiple houses. Like I said, you have to maximize the time. And if you're only going to be here for a weekend, we try and fit in anywhere from 6 to 8 houses a day. And if we're really lucky, we'll get through a little bit more than that in a day. It just depends on how fast you're moving, what you can actually consume, because it does get a little bit tricky to remember, okay, what house had what. So we do give you something with your MLS sheets that helps you keep notes and all of that stuff. But yeah, it's a process of prepping. There's prep time that goes into it behind the scenes of making the bags, putting everything together, making sure that you guys are supported with, things to take notes, things to keep you hydrated, things to keep you full so you have snacks. And then we kind of set up a day. So when they get here on Saturday, I'm going to meet with them at a coffee shop first nearby our first house. And we are going to kind of set up the day and what to expect. For a quick 30 minutes or so, we'll go through, the buyer roadmap and just what to expect, especially because Colorado can be a little bit different from other states as far as our buying process goes. So we're going to go through, what to expect, and we'll sit down and do do that, and then we will head off to our first showing. And so usually the days, I mean, it just depends on how quickly you're moving. But if we start at 9 a.m., it's very good possibility that we won't be done until 3 or 4, just depending on how much time we spend in the homes. But it's a process, right? To set all this up, we got to figure in driving time. We've got to figure in how much time to spend at each property, which property to see first, what works along the map. And depending on if you're looking at multiple areas and how many homes you want to see and how many days you want to see them, we will set different things up as far as like the agenda. So let's say you have 12 homes you want to see in Pueblo, and then you might have 12 homes you want to see in Colorado Springs. Well, we might actually split those up to do, depending on how many days you're here, but we might actually split it up to do half in Pueblo and then venture up to the Springs one day, and then start in the Springs the next day and venture back to Pueblo. Just because when you're viewing that many homes, it can be something that is easily confused eventually. So we want to make sure that your brain is feeling fresh. You actually have all of the information that's able to be stored in your brain, because it does take a lot to remember that many properties. And so switching up the location, kind of giving that break of the drive in between, kind of helps your brain just take a break for a minute, get a breather, and then so it's ready for a new area. It's like a refresher. It's like a refresher of your brain just being able to take in that much information, because it can be overwhelming. But I'm here to make that as smooth as possible. Now, when I say it's overwhelming, the only thing overwhelming for the people looking for the home, for the buyer, is the fact that they have to remember what home had what. But that's why you have MLS sheets. That's why we give you, something that you can take notes on with your MLS sheets, so that you can kind of remember, like, okay, we really like this about this house, and we really didn't like this about this house, or this is definitely a no, or whatever. Like, you can keep up with it, but that's the only real overwhelming part. The rest of it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a smooth transition, right? Like, that's what we work for, is to have a smooth transition with you. So there's a lot of back end work that goes into it. On the real estate agent side, we're having to check on the searches, making sure we're starting to map things out a few days ahead of time. Where are all the properties that you want to see? What's the best route? How long does it take to get from home 1 to home 2? And this does take time, especially if you're looking at 6+ properties. This does take time on the real estate agent side to get all this set up properly, and you get to come and just enjoy the day. It's already set up for you. All you have to do is just basically follow us from home 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, etc. So that's the point, right? That's supposed to be what I'm here for, is to make your life easier. So this is a little bit about, just what we do behind the scenes, what you can expect if you're going to do something with us as far as work with us and you're coming from out of state, because obviously we're on here on YouTube, we're talking all the time to people from out of state. So the whole point is to make sure that you're supported. It's an easy process once you get here. And we do kind of all the heavy lifting in the background to make sure that everything is set up right. They're actually seeing homes that make sense for you. For these particular buyers, I actually was looking, at their search. I do keep up with trying to just look at certain things and see if there's anything that they might be missing, or a home that I think they might really like, and I'll bring it to their attention. Sometimes we just like to sneak it in there and say, hey, we're gonna go see this house. We think that this fits your criteria. We didn't see it on your favorites list. And of course, you always have the option to say no. But a lot of times, that's actually kind of fun, because then it's a little surprise, and we do ask a lot of questions ahead of time to know what you're looking for specifically, so we're not just giving you something that is not along the lines. But if we see something come up in your search, like yesterday I had to alert the buyer, like, hey, this looks like it fits your criteria, doesn't look like you favorited it, is this something you want to add to your list? And sure enough, she's like, yes, that's great, let's add it to our list. So it is an active process on my side to make sure that I am staying up to date with you guys, that I'm keeping track of what it is that you're wanting to see, what it is that your criteria is, because sometimes too, I'm a part of a lot of groups on Facebook especially, and sometimes there will be people that post things that are not on the MLS. And so it's just it's good practice for me to stay up to date with their fresh, see what they're liking, see what they're favoriting, especially the Colorado Springs list. We can do that with pretty easy. Their system lets us see exactly what you guys are putting as a favorite. So when we do that, we can keep in mind, like, okay, they really like this sort of feature in a home, or they want this many square feet. and they really want a finished basement, maybe a porch, the little things. So if we see those things get posted sometimes in those Facebook groups, we can bring it to the attention of the buyer. So behind the scenes, it just looks like a lot of prep, a lot of organization, and making sure that the day is mapped out properly, creating a full agenda. And that way you come in, you're already flying in. And as you know, travel can be tricky. It can be, depending on the airlines, either stressful or smooth. Most times it's a little stressful. You gotta get through security and that whole thing, and then wait to board. And then if there's any delays, like, travel is its own thing. It's kind of its own beast, essentially. And we're not here to make any more of the travel process any more stressful. So all you get to do is look forward to joining me on the day where we can actually tour through the properties, tour through the neighborhoods. And you'll get a good feel too, because, especially when you're seeing that many homes, you're getting to drive the streets, you're getting to see, if you're going in between. For these particular buyers, they're not sure if they want to live in Pueblo or Colorado Springs. So we're gonna do potentially split up the homes each day to do a little here in Pueblo, a little in Colorado Springs, because they kind of want to see, like, what does it feel like to commute each time? So they get to see the different times of commuting, etc. And they're only gonna be here for a couple of days. So, the longer that you're here, obviously, the more you get to see. But my job is to just make it easy on you. So all you have to do is grab my contact information from the description box below. You just reach out to me, let me know that you're coming into town, that you would like to see some homes, and we'll talk about what does that look like for you? What exactly is the perfect home? Always want to make sure too, and the buyer's roadmap talks about this. We actually have a video here on our channel that talks about the buyer's roadmap, but you always want to make sure that you are pre-approved as one of your first steps, because a lot of times if you're going to submit an offer, one of two things. If you're not going to be using a lender, if you're going to be paying cash, we definitely need to get proof of funds, because if you're going to submit an offer, the seller is going to want to see that you have the capability to buy the home, right? But if you're going to use a lender and they've pre-approved you up to a certain amount, again, proof of funds letter is going to be super helpful in that case. So making sure that you're also prepared with that. And sometimes that might take certain things. If we submit an offer, especially people who come here do a lot of contingent offers because they're waiting for the home in their current state to sell before they can buy the current property here that they're getting ready to transition to. So if you are going to have a contingent offer, that's something you're thinking of doing, proof of funds is so important, along with your home already being on the market, is going to be something that most sellers are going to look for in order to feel comfortable honoring a contingency offer. So if you are thinking of transitioning here from out of state and you need to get your home put on the market, then that's something that you're going to want to do so that you can make sure that a contingency offer is much more likely to be approved. So making sure that you have your home on the market, if you can, before you come out, because if you plan to make an offer once you get here, if you know, hey, we're doing this intentionally, we're coming out there, we're going to make an offer on something because we have a short timeline and we would like to get out there sooner than later, or if you're going to spend the time to look at homes, you want to make sure that, what if you really like something, you fall in love with it? Well, if you do a contingency offer and you say, hey, my home's not on the market, but eventually we're going to get it there and it's going to sell and then we'll be able to buy, like, can you just wait it out? Most sellers are not comfortable with that. I'm just going to be really honest. So making sure that you guys have a plan for your home to be on the market, proof of funds, especially if it's cash. If it's a pre-approval, that's easy. A lender can easily give you a pre-approval letter. So those are all things that are going to help the process go much smoother. You've done the first step, which is finding your agent. And then it kind of alongside that is getting the pre-approval with a lender. They're almost simultaneous. You could kind of go either way. You could find, pre-approval first and then contact an agent, which honestly makes more sense because you want to make sure that you even have capability financially to purchase a home. Otherwise, you're going to be unnecessarily contacting an agent if you're looking and you're not pre-approved to buy. But having those two things is really helpful. But honestly, you could also contact an agent agent first. It's actually, I think it says to contact the agent first in our buyer's roadmap, which makes total sense. But you want to make sure, again, that you do have a financial plan and that you're coming to the table with that when you're looking at homes from out of state. Because if you do find something you fall in love with, you need to do a contingency offer, then you want to make sure that they are ready to accept it, and they'll feel much more comfortable if you have the proof that you are ready to buy their home, or you're making efforts to be ready to buy the home as soon as possible, like listing your property for sale, if that's an issue. Some people are coming here, they don't have that. They don't even have a home that they have to worry about selling. That's a totally different scenario. You contact me, make sure we have proof of funds for anything that you're wanting to see, and we can just get you, into the showings and then go from there. So you don't really have to worry about that if it's not going to be a contingency offer. Most people do contingency offers just because they are in a situation where they're having another home that they have to sell before they get over here. So that's where that information comes in to be helpful. So on the back end, we're doing all the work to set up the searches. We're building out the welcome bag that you get when you get here. It's like a fun little gift that you get when you get to meet with me. And then we're just doing our day. We're doing our day of tour. We stop for lunch, give you guys a break so you can have some time, especially if you have people that are coming with you to tour. Maybe you have family locally. In this particular case, they have family locally. So they're gonna get to stop at some point, have lunch with them. They can kind of debrief what they've seen, talk about what they feel like, and then that's a nice break. We meet up again in the afternoon to do the second half of the day of tours. So if at any time you guys are planning to make a move, it doesn't matter if it's, 10 days from now. They contacted me just a couple weeks ago. So they were just, 2 weeks out from their visit here to Colorado. They were ready to go ahead and set up a search and start actively looking at stuff. So in their case, it was 2 weeks. It could be 10 months from now. And if you just kind of want to ask some questions, get a feel, see if this makes sense and if I'm the right person for you, you can reach me at my contact information in the description box below. You can text me, you can call me, we can set up a Zoom if you want. That's always an option. In this particular case, we didn't have to do any virtual tours because they are coming out here. But if you would like me to, if we do come into agreement with exclusive agency and I'm representing you to purchase a property, I can always go into homes for you and do a virtual tour. That's the great thing about FaceTime and Zoom and everything else. Technology makes that so easy. So if that's an option for you, it's an option for me as well. And I recommend coming out. I do highly recommend coming out, but if you can't, that is always a nice secondary option. So in the meantime, whether it's, like I said, 10 days from now, it could be a year from now, it doesn't matter. Just reach out to me, we'll connect, we'll figure out what makes the most sense for your situation. And in the meantime, maybe we will see you around Pueblo.